during sleep, or something much more important, like life-saving inner guidance. How dreams can be healing and early warning tools for disease, financial crisis, or success. And love is still one of the behavioral science's greatest unanswered questions. Hello, I'm your host, author Kat O'Keefe Kanavos. Welcome to Dreaming Healing, where dreams and cutting-edge scientific research meet on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 radio network. Dreaming Healing is every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, when you can call in and ask Kat questions about your amazing dreams. Talk on air. Call toll-free, 833-220-1200. That's 833-220-1200. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad you're here, especially you dreamers. We have got an incredible show for you tonight. How many of you out there went through those hurricanes if you're on the East Coast? Well, our guest tonight and I went through both of them. We went through Helene past us, covered the whole state of Florida, and that one had the flooding. And then 2 weeks later, we had Milton, who was supposed to hit us head on and stopped just before it hit Treasure Island and went a little further south and came on shore there. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is hurricanes and quantum spirituality. What do they have in common? Well, that's what we're going to ask our guest, Peter Canova. But before we do that, I want to give us all the opportunity to do our protection meditation. So for those of you who are new to my show, I do this the beginning of every show. And it lasts until the next time we do the next show. So it's a way of not having to worry about any of the areas that we go into with dreams, quantum spirituality, no matter what it is. We are going to surround ourselves and protect ourselves with protective light and a protective bubble, okay? So if you're new, don't worry about it. Just listen to my voice, follow my directions, and we're going to do this all together. So get nice and comfortable in your chair. Feel yourself just kind of relaxing. You might want to move your shoulders around a little bit. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths together. Ready? Deep breath in. Hold it. Imagine any negativity from the week getting in that breath of life and blow it out across the room into the purple flame of Saint Germain, where it's converted into positive golden energy and return to the universe, so we will not be littering. Again, deep breath in, hold it. Any negativity you may have done this week, whether you know it or not, in that breath of life, blow it out right into that purple flame of Saint Germain. One more time, deep breath in, hold it. Any negativity that happened to you when you were young, caught in that breath of life, blow it out completely. See it going into the purple flame of Saint Germain, going up, up, up into the universe. It's going up past the planets, past the stars, to those pearly gates, where it's going to make a U-turn, come all the way back down and into your chakras, filling your whole body with that warm golden light. Just feel it kind of going through your shoulders, down your chest, into your legs. Feel your legs and your thighs tingling, into your calves and your feet. Now I want you to imagine holding a power gift in your hand. A power gift can be anything that gives you power. A special piece of jewelry, your favorite flower, a rock, your favorite stone, a letter you received from someone, anything that holds the power of love, because nothing is stronger than the power of love. Imagine swinging it all around your body and creating a beautiful golden bubble of light, a protective bubble of light. See all the colors swirling around the outside. Only that which is of the highest and best, brought to you by your spirit guides and guardian angels, may come into this bubble. Everything else is reflected back from whence it came. We wish it so, and therefore it is. When you're ready, open your eyes, feel yourself tingling and relaxed. If you need to, put your fingertips together to get you back into your body and press into the prayer position and feel yourself coming back in. Those are all the pressure points for your whole body right there. And you thought that was only for praying, right? No, it's also for grounding you. So anytime you feel ungrounded, just push them together like you're praying and feel yourself become grounded. So let me tell you a little bit about our awesome guest tonight. Peter Canova is a businessman, award-winning author, and national speaker who is merging the past and present to show us our future. Everything on earth has a purpose and reason. So how do hurricanes play into that analogy? Are the massive Tyrannosaurus Rex hurricanes of the distant past rebirthing into our present world and moving into our future? What might be the quantum spirituality involved in all of this and behind them? What is their physical and spiritual purpose? Steve Alameda says, Peter Canova is the most award-winning author of nonfiction and fiction, both traditionally and independently published that we know of. And Peter Canova is with us tonight on Dreaming Healing to answer all of these questions that I just talked about and more. So welcome to the show, Peter Canova.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be with you tonight.
Peter, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Because there is so much to talk about when it comes to you that I don't want to take up all the time beating your drums. I want our audience to hear it straight from you. And could you start by giving us your website if they want to go to your website during the commercials?
Yeah, the website is petercanova.com. It's PeterCanova.com. And it's an interesting website. It's got a lot of articles and a lot of information and videos and things like that I think people would find very interesting. Mm-hmm. As far as myself, like you said, I'm a businessman, but when I was in my early 20s, I had a very vivid series of spiritual experiences that really altered the course of my life and kind of set me on a parallel path from the business world. And that led me to the pursuit of ancient spiritual traditions in an effort to understand some of the things that I had been through, some of the experiences I had, and I would describe them as experiences with higher consciousness. And some people may call them psychic experiences. It really doesn't matter, but it was experience with alternate forms of information and intelligence. And eventually the spiritual side led me to quantum physics. And the nexus there is that both ancient spirituality and quantum physics deal with the nature of light, matter, and energy. Those three things kind of tie them together. And what I found was in reading the ancient spiritual texts, particularly those texts of the ancient Gnostic masters, that's Gnostic, who were Judeo-Christian mystical sect centered in Alexandria, Egypt, that their information overlapped almost every major theory of modern quantum physics that I know of. It kind of really was mind-blowing. And as a result of that, I wrote the book Quantum Spirituality, in part to talk about that. But quantum spirituality really is a roadmap for people to have experiences with higher consciousness. So that's kind of where it is. I also have written a fictional trilogy called the First Souls Trilogy, and did very well. The first book is about an African nun who becomes the first female pope at a time when America and Iran are going into a nuclear war. It's what I call a spiritual thriller. And collectively, all the books have won, I think, like 38 national and international book awards.
Wow. And I understand that your first book, Pope Annalisa of the trilogy, is you're working on getting that made into a series or a movie or
I have one of my partners is an ex executive from HBO, and we are working with some different production groups trying to get the series, the first book, into a limited TV series on one of the streamers, Netflix, Amazon, or whatever. So hopefully keep our fingers crossed on that one. It's a tough road to hoe, but everything is possible.
Yes. And so what I found interesting in Pope Annalisa is you had a lot of quantum spirituality going on in Pope Annalisa as a novel. And then you wrote your book, Quantum Spirituality, which is nonfiction. So you're big into quantum spirituality. Is that right?
Yeah, well, the underpinning of the fictional work, the First Souls Trilogy and Pope Annalisa, was both spirituality and quantum physics. I mean, quantum physics is woven throughout the books, and I had volumes of research on both spirituality and quantum physics. And after the trilogy, I said, well, I've done this in a fictional form. Why don't I try sort of a nonfiction and more of, kind of a direct information and education, taking all that research that I accumulated over 30 plus years. And I put that into the book, Quantum Spirituality.
Mm-hmm. And we were kind of living it with those hurricanes. So share one of your stories of surviving Hurricane Helene with us. We went through Hurricane Helene and Milton, and I'm sure many of our listeners have as well. And so share one of your stories.
Well, honestly, rather than recount the challenges that happen when you have two major hurricanes hit an area, within a space of 2 weeks, which I think has never happened in history before. This was a once in a couple 100-year event for Florida and for that area in particular. So, rather than recount the challenges and, some of the things that went on, let me just say what my perspective is, what I learned from the hurricanes. It rearranges your life. And that can either, that can either be for the better or for the worse, depending upon, how you view it. A lot of people will be moving away and starting a new life somewhere else. A lot of people will be getting new jobs. A lot of people will be reevaluating, their lives, because it's not, I won't say it's like a near death experience, but it is an opportunity for people to, really sit down and review where they've been, what they're doing, and where they're going to go. So I would say that perhaps in a way, the way I look at it is a natural disaster like that, or like a hurricane, is God's way of closing some doors, but opening up new doors. Obviously, there's going to be some major changes in the way that people were living, but it doesn't all have to be negative. We can rediscover new ways of doing things, new places to live, new professions, new ways of doing things. So I know, from my experience, I learned some lessons out of that hurricane in terms of what I really appreciate in life, some of the things that I may have looked over and taken for granted, and now appreciate more. So, I guess like with everything else, you can look at it in a negative way, but I think there's always a positive behind every change, even if it appears as a natural, disaster. And that's kind of what I took out of these events.
For those of you who don't know, Peter Canova is actually my husband. So we were in the house together when the two hurricanes hit. And one of the things that I learned was suddenly you learn who all your neighbors are. We took in two families. They were in the single story homes, and they were getting flooded out. And Peter and I had taped up all the doors and the windows. We had one door left open coming up to the second floor, which is the kitchen. And when the waters started flooding with the first hurricane, which was Helene, I started getting texts on my phone, and the phone was ringing. Can we come over to your house? We're getting flooded out. And so I went downstairs. Peter was still upstairs. We had a generator going, and I brought the neighbors up the side of our house, up the flight of stairs into the kitchen. It was the only door that would open. So we ended up taking in the neighbors and their dogs. Two neighbors. We had 3 dogs and 2 cats in the house, and 6 adults. And when they would come in, I actually made Dark and Stormy. It's a drink that Peter and I used to drink on Cape Cod when we would have hurricanes come up there. We'd go walking on the beach and drink Dark and Stormy. So we kind of partied through that. And I think that when the neighbors know they can depend on their other neighbors and that everything's going to be okay, I think it really helps a lot. What did you kind of feel about that?
Oh, I really feel that, people came together, and, surprisingly, even though it was such a disaster for so many people, I was just really impressed with how the neighbors took everything. They were, they weren't gloomy. They weren't like, oh, my life is over, even though, in all honesty, their lives were tremendously disrupted. So I really give a lot of credit to our neighbors and the attitude and the composure they kept. And we were all helping, one another out, providing shelter, equipment, such as what was left and so forth and so on to help one another. So, it was a very interesting kind of communal experience, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But, I wondered if you might want to talk somewhat about these recent drone sightings, which I'm very, very interested in. And I had a little perspective on that. I didn't know if you'd been thinking about it, and I don't know if your audience might be interested in it, but that was something they might want to hear about.
Yeah, maybe they're up there trying to see what the damage is from the hurricane. But sure, give us your take on what you think's happening with these drones, especially with quantum spirituality.
Well, if you look at these videos of the drones, what you notice is they're not all drones. There are objects like orbs that are moving around at these fantastic angles and speeds, and there's no way it's a drone. And that really has gone overlooked in the way the news media has reported this. Mm-hmm. So, I really believe that, let me go back. In 1945, between 1945 and 1947, when the atomic bomb exploded in Hiroshima, it was the first unleashing of atomic energy in the world. That's when the UFOs started appearing, and they started appearing over military bases, and they've been hovering around military bases ever since. Why, though, are they being so open about this now? Because I believe what's really happening is, I think these drones may be our government trying to monitor the activities of these things that are orbiting. And incidentally, it's not just happening in the U.S. It's happening all over the U.S., not just New Jersey. It's happening in almost every state right now, but it's happening in Germany, in China, in Russia. These things are appearing. And the question is, why is this happening en masse right now? I mean, UFOs traditionally have been a little bit, secretive in a way. I guess they haven't made brazenly open displays of their existence, but it seems right now like that's what's happening. And the question is why? Well, by certain metrics, we could be closer to World War III than we've ever been since World War II, with what's happening in the Ukraine, and of course, Russia always threatening to use nuclear weapons and so forth. The situation between China and Taiwan and everything. I mean, it's a very, very tense global situation going on. The Middle East has erupted. You have this axis of Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, lining up against the United States. So there's a tremendous amount of global tension going on right now, maybe in an even more heightened sense than usual. Is that the reason that these UFOs are all of a sudden taking such interest in, flitting around our military and nuclear facilities again? Possibly. I mean, it certainly could be one reason that that's happening now. I mean, the question is why now? So I think that these, what they call UFOs, now they're trying to call them UAPs. What is it?
It's the same stuff.
On or something, so they're switching acronyms. That I'll just stick to UFOs. That sounds easier. My perception for a very long time, for the last like 15 years, I've kind of been writing notes about it, is that these are not extraterrestrial; they're interdimensional. I personally do not.
What does that mean? Interdimensional? Explain that.
Sure. I personally.
You know what? We have to go to a break, Peter.
Sure.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about the UFOs and quantum spirituality and interdimensionality and all of that. But I don't want to get you talking about it and then have to interrupt you. So you are listening to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, but my friends all call me Kat, so I hope you will too. And I'm also known as the Queen of Dreams. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Kanavos, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times bestselling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
Did you know that every word you speak matters? What you say and how you say it can make or break a relationship or shift the outcome of any situation. Are your conversations making a difference? Faith in God, gratitude, authenticity, and giving are Teresa Velarde's heart. It's in this spirit that she's focused on making a difference in the lives she's blessed to touch. Conversations That Make a Difference is now on syndicated Dreamvision 7 Radio Network every Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, with live call-in shows every first and third Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern.
In a world facing annihilation, a miraculous African nun rises to become the first female pope through a web of war, murder, and betrayal. Loved by some, hated by many, she becomes the deadly target of Islamic terrorists and her own cardinals as she introduces a new vision that will either save humanity or accelerate its destruction. 4 people must race against a nuclear holocaust to learn her astonishing secret. Pope Annalisa is available at petercanova.com, Amazon, and other online booksellers and bookstores worldwide.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvision 7 Radio Network. I'm your host, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, aka Kat Kanavos, and Kat the Queen of Dreams. Just before we went to the break, we were talking with Peter Canova, our guest tonight, about those little orbs that are in the skies, in the night skies, the UFOs and all the other strange things that we're seeing up there and why that might be happening. So Peter, we had to go to break, but let's pick up where you left off. And by the way, those of you just tuning in with us, this is Peter Canova, PeterCanova. His website is petercanova.com, and that's PeterCanova.com. Okay, so welcome back, Peter. You were talking about the orbs and how we're just going to refer to them as UFOs. They keep changing the name all the time, but I'm just going to stick with UFO myself. Everybody knows what we're talking about then. Why do you suppose, and you were saying that because we may be so close to a third world war, they're up there watching what's going on. I know that when we were first trying out the atomic bomb in the desert, there were a lot of UFOs around, and our government was keeping it quiet, although people were seeing them everywhere. Do you think that's part of what's going on now?
I do. I made the statement before the break that I don't believe the UFOs are extraterrestrial, but they're interdimensional. And let me explain that. Extraterrestrial means they would come from our physical universe. Interdimensional means they come from inner space, not outer space. And to understand what a dimension is, and actually this gets right back into the Gnostic text. The Gnostics really define dimension as levels of consciousness and levels of energetic vibration or consciousness. And there were multiple levels of these dimensions, which were, unseen dimensions. We have a history, even in Hinduism and other religions, that talk about unseen dimensions of existence that would exist parallel to ours, but they vibrate at different energy levels. So in essence, they're kind of mutually imperceptible to one another, at least imperceptible from our standpoint. Higher dimensions probably have a better understanding of what's going on in our dimension than we have of what's going on in their dimension. But I do believe that these UFOs and the beings that fly them come from these inner dimensions and have found a way to traverse the dimensions into ours. And perhaps they actually able to bring little bubbles of their own physical laws in here, wrapped around their craft, their spacecraft, because that would account for why they're able to perform these maneuvers that we could never duplicate with any of our technology. So I mean, and incidentally, that perception has become the dominant perception, I guess, in the UFO circles these days. More and more of the more well-known UFO researchers are coming to conclusions that this is an interdimensional, phenomenon. But getting back to it, I mean, I don't want to scare people. I mean, saying, we're on the brink of World War III. What I am saying is that the metrics of potentiality for having a nuclear exchange are probably greater now than they have been in quite a while when you take a look at the geopolitical situation around the world. And since it seems that whoever is behind the UFOs has particular interest in anything to do with the military and nuclear situation that humanity finds itself in, this is now a time where their monitoring of what's going on would be more intense. I am really hoping that the new government that comes in with the election of Trump, him being such a maverick that maybe he becomes a big whistleblower, and lets us know a little bit more honestly about what's going on. The present government is just, it's just covering things up like crazy for whatever reason. I don't really know. The deep state has really covered up this phenomenon, even from our highest elected government officials. And they're still coming up with these lame things that, oh, this is just conventional aircraft. And, this isn't.
No.
I mean, take a look at things and look at the situation and just apply logic. There's no way that conventional aircraft just like hovers around. And what are we supposed to believe that all of a sudden? Yeah, I was supposed to believe that all of a sudden 5,000 kids, somewhere in the New York, New Jersey area decided to launch UFOs for days and days over sensitive areas. And, and like our government couldn't go and have a helicopter fly and knock one down and read the serial numbers. I mean, it's back to the days when they were trying to say, oh, that wasn't a UFO. That was a weather balloon. We're just getting a bunch of weather balloons right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So when you're talking about this interdimensionality, could it possibly be us in the future coming back to check on us in the present now, kind of that back to the future stuff?
Well, it's funny you asked that because a friend of mine asked me the same question today. I mean, it's possible. I mean, anything is possible. If you take the encounters, though, of the people who have had reported close encounters with the aliens that are supposedly behind these phenomena. Some of them have described people that look human, but some of them have described beings that are most definitely not human. Let's not assume that they all come from one place. There could be, several species from several dimensions, engaged in this. Not all for the same reasons. Maybe some of them, more benevolent than others. Maybe, it really remains to be seen. I think that there is a trove of information hidden out there somewhere in the deep state that people know about, and if it were revealed, it would tell us a lot more about the nature of why this is happening and who is behind it. But like I say, it has been so deep state that even our highest elected officials are being kept in the dark. It's almost like sometimes rogue elements are running these programs. One thing for sure is that it has really been concealed from the American public, but we're getting more and more high-ranking and credible whistleblowers now testifying before Congress in some very serious testimony that the Congress people are thinking there's great validity behind this. We're in the age right now of all this stuff being exposed. We're on the tip of exposing the iceberg right now.
Mm-hmm. We've been watching the tip of the iceberg, and we've been told, there's nothing to see out here. There's nothing. Nothing happened. Don't believe your eyes. And it's coming to the point where there are too many of them. It's happening too often. Too many people are seeing it. There's something there. And it's a lot like even with dreams. Like for the longest time, dreams are like poo-pooed. Oh, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. But now what we're seeing is people are having dreams about deceased loved ones, and then being given information in their dreams about those deceased loved ones that they bring back with them to the waking world and find out its validation. I think that may be happening with these orbs, UFOs, whatever's going on out there. We're realizing this has been going on since caveman, where there were pictures of UFOs painted in caves, and everybody was saying, no, that's not. We're realizing it is. This has been going on forever. And it's a very interesting, I think this is a very interesting time to be alive, because I think there's going to be some incredible information coming out and some massive changes in our lives.
Yeah, I agree. And, again, my book is about consciousness and the nature of consciousness. And I think that there is a connection in consciousness between whoever is behind these UFOs and what our mass mind consciousness happens here on Earth, the direction that we're taking. I also think that some of those people who have had firsthand experiences maybe have that frequency of consciousness that these manifestations have come to them, and they may not be perceptible by other people, but it's certainly perceptible to them. I mean, I've been on Whitley Strieber's show, and if you talk to Whitley, I mean, he is most definitely, he will tell you, no, well, I wasn't imagining this happened to me. Now, I completely believe it happened to him. Would it necessarily have been perceptible to other people? Maybe not, because consciousness, after all, is not something that you can grasp in your hands. But it's all tied up with consciousness. Again, if we look at the whole idea of dimensions are different levels of consciousness. And the ancients said that the higher dimensions could have a little bit of a window looking down on the lower dimensions, whereas the lower dimensions, it was much more difficult to know what's going on in the higher dimensions. So it's easier for people or beings from higher dimensions to sort of probably monitor what's going on here than for us to monitor what's going on up there. But that's where our psychics come in. I mean, that when we meditate, when we get into higher levels of consciousness, information we're getting probably very often comes from those higher dimensions, of existence. Now, incidentally, we shouldn't assume that all of those dimensions are necessarily what we would call good, if we're going to use this kind of terminology. The ancients said that there were all levels of dimensions, and just because beings may be powerful doesn't mean that they're necessarily on the spectrum of what we would call good or having good intentions. I know that a lot of psychics, when they go into meditation, they often put a bubble around themselves to keep those negative influences out. And just experiences the positive ones. So I mean, information that we get from other non-physical dimensions of being can be beneficial, but they also could be negative.
And so our audience tonight, if you're listening, if any of this makes you uncomfortable, or when you're watching the news, or you hear that those beams are up there in the sky, those bubbles are up there in the sky, remember to do the same meditation we did at the beginning of this show together, and surround yourself with a protective mirrored bubble filled with light, so that only that which is of the highest and best, brought by your spirit guides and guardian angels, can come in. Everything else is reflected back from whence it came. And remember, we are all born with spirit guides and guardian angels. We're their job. And they take that job very seriously. They are another level of beings. They're not something that we can just see all the time, but we can see them in our dreams. We can feel them when we're in a certain situation. We kind of know that they're there if we're in danger. The hair stands up on the back of your neck or whatever. Your spirit guides and guardian angels are there. So I think that this is going to open up some of the spiritual and psychic doors that a lot of people have kept closed for so long, because they were told, oh, don't use this. It's not real. And I think what we're doing is we are moving into another realm in our psychic being that is going to suddenly become aware of the fact, hey, we're not the only ones around. There's more than us.
Yeah, the Earth itself is a dimension of light and darkness. It's kind of in some cases, it's a testing ground, or a little bit of a battleground between those forces that seek to reunify with their origins, the source from which they came, and those that are so alienated from that source that they want to stay that way, and they want everything to stay that way. And those are some of the negative forces that were described in the ancient texts, and they manifest in different ways. I mean, in a lot of ways, the book that I wrote, Quantum Spirituality, is about freedom. It's about attaining a level of consciousness where you start to rise above isms and ideologies that seek to control you. Now, I know some people were upset with portions of my book where I criticize certain political systems that they, I guess, happen to adhere to. But my point is, I wasn't trying to take a political point of view. My point is, I was trying to demonstrate to people what the Gnostics had said, that there are very many ways that these negative centers of consciousness try to mislead people. And very often, they're ways that sound good. I mean, I criticize certain systems like communism and socialism, that have often sounded, like they're very egalitarian, but in actuality, they lead to tools of, control over the populace for good sounding reasons. This is really not a political statement for me. This is really the logical conclusion of what the Gnostics were warning us about, which is there are, all types of, social and political beliefs that can sound really good, but really they end up being, tools of control. So, part and parcel of what we've been told for the last several years that are great are things like political correctness and cancel culture and things like that, which supposedly are there for good reasons. But what they really end up being is tools that limit people's freedom, limit debate, limit speech, limit critical thinking. You see, and these are the deviations that we're presented with in everyday life, which is what the Gnostics were trying to warn against, because it inhibits our freedoms, our freedom of really exercising our God-given right of critical thinking.
And we need all those right now, because there's so many strange things going on. We have to be able to speak out. We have to be able to say to somebody else, did you see this? Did you see that? Without having to worry about saying the wrong question, asking the wrong question, being canceled, being, when it comes down to learning, you have to feel free to ask a question. There is no stupid question. There are only silly answers. And when you were talking about communism, I grew up in Berlin right after the wall went up. And I saw communism in action. And it wasn't what everybody was saying was so wonderful. The people over there didn't look happy. There were no cars. And whenever our train, the military train, would go through East Berlin to get to West Berlin, get to the West, Germany, you would see mothers in the windows with their babies, freezing cold. They'd have the windows open because they wanted those babies to see freedom.
Well, there are political systems. There are plenty of political systems that have, promised people a better life, and they sound really good. And in actuality, they've enslaved people. I mean, they've made life worse. I think we have to just watch out for anything that divides us. Okay, so we've been taught in this country to divide people up into little bags of based upon race, gender, and any other criteria. That's not what this is about. Remember Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King wanted a colorblind society, and I'm sure if he had lived longer, he would have wanted a gender-blind society too. Where I don't want to start thinking of people in terms of their race and their gender. I mostly want to think of them as people, and I want to, we may have differences, but I want to engage in those differences in free discourse. And you said that word, you've offended me, you triggered me. I mean, see, these are all kinds of things that just inhibit people's freedoms of expression and discussion, and I think that's dangerous, and I think that doesn't promote higher consciousness. I think that promotes subservience to somebody else's agenda.
Mm-hmm. And you don't learn from people who think exactly as you do. You learn from people who think differently, and you find a common ground. That's how you learn, and that's how you grow. We have to go to a quick break. We're having some great discussions here. I hope you all are listening, and we'll send if you've got a dream or you've got a question, email me at katkan@comcast.net. That's KATKAN @comcast.net. We'll talk about it on the program, but we have to go to another break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What if dreams can diagnose your life? What if we can meet the love of our life in dreams? Join host Kat O'Keefe Canavos, the #1 internationally best-selling author of Dreams That Can Save Your Life, written with Duke University medical doctor Larry Burke. Dreaming Healing is where we'll explore dreams, research, and interpret dreams from you, the caller. Dreaming Healing shows can be heard every Tuesday at 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern, with live shows on the first and third evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on syndicated Dreamvisions 7 radio network. Come live your dreams out loud with Kat.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide. Have you met your physician within yet? The Nautilus and multi-award-winning book, Surviving Cancerland, Intuitive Aspects of Healing, is a memoir that takes you down the rabbit hole of healing dreams and interpretations, mixed with conventional medicine and treatments. Listen to the hookah-puffing caterpillar ask, "Who are you?" Dr. Bernie Siegel says Kathleen's story is powerful, honest, and eye-opening. Surviving Cancerland, Intuitive Aspects of Healing by 3-time breast cancer survivor Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Buy the book and audio at KathleenO'KeefeKanavos.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers. Darkest hours to brightest moments, transformation from despair to happiness, and chaos to clarity. Real people, real pain, real healing. Life-threatening illness, death, abusive relationships, divorce, and overcoming addiction are challenges these men and women faced head-on. See how they emerged stronger and happier. Buy the new book, Chaos to Clarity, Sacred Stories of Transformational Change by Reverend Patricia Caginello and Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos. Available on sacredstoriespublishing.com and worldwide through Amazon and other retailers.
This is Dreamvision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Welcome back to the third part of our show tonight. This is the last section. And so we're so glad that you've been with us. I want to ask our guest as one of the follow-ups for this show, why, Peter, do you think it's so important to stay positive in the face of danger or change or any natural disaster or like even flying orbs? Why is it important to keep that positive attitude? And what can we do to do that?
Well, I mean, staying positive allows you to move forward. If you don't stay positive, when you're in a natural disaster, that's a negative situation. You can either dwell on the negativity and stay in that vibration, or lift yourself out of it by looking at the positive nature of it. It's like I said at the very beginning, I think these natural disasters can be God's way of telling us a change is due on the horizon. A natural disaster like happened in Florida changed a lot of lives. Now you can either look at that in a positive way, or you can which is like, okay, my old life is over, as I knew it. How do I move on to something new? Maybe I stay here. I make my house better. I learn my lessons. I'll create a situation where I'm not in as much danger. Or you move on, which a lot of people did, to new cities, new jobs, new locations. It's a chance maybe to get out of a rut. maybe there's probably a message for each of us in each of these natural disasters. A message of transformation and a potential message of change and transformation. If we seek it, we'll recognize it, and we'll move in that direction. If we don't seek it, if we stay in a more negative state, well, then you're in the status quo. Status quo is not so great, is it? Especially in the aftermath of a hurricane or a natural disaster.
Yes, when we're faced with a crisis, by staying positive, no matter how you do it, you figure out how to do it. You are vibrating at a higher frequency. And when you're vibrating at a higher positive frequency, you'll be amazed at the things that you can do. So our dream tip for tonight is dreams are a microcosm of our waking world. So look for the signs and symbols in your dream that reflect what is currently important to you in your life or going on in your life. So I want to talk about an upcoming event that actually Peter Canova is going to be on as well, the Read, Write, Relax, and Get Published. It's Spirit at Sea, the Dreamy Writers Conference cruise again. The last cruise to Baja, Mexico, again with Peter, he was talking about his quantum spirituality from San Diego, California, was such a great success that we're doing it again in August, the 24th through the 31st of 2025. So it's, a ways out, but it's a good time to sign up for it because it is selling out. And it's going to Alaska, round trip from Seattle, and it's for under $1,500 per person. And the down payments are 100% refundable up to 90 days prior to the cruising with me, Kat Kanavos, aka Kat, the Queen of Dreams. And we've got 3 instructors, one of which is Peter Canova. So if you are interested, if you want to join us to get some writing done, some blogs done, some social media promotions, and meet with possibly some agents, or you will have the ability to send in your proposals to an agent while tapping into your dreams, you can reserve your space now because they're filling up. Just call Michelle. Call Michelle at 800-658-6869 and ask for Kat's Dreamy Writers Conference cruise. Okay, and hurry because the early bird gets the cruise. And you can learn more about it also on my website. Just type in Kat, the Queen of Dreams, into Google search, and my website will come right up. And you'll see it right there on that page. So, Peter, to close out, I was wondering if you wanted to share a writing tip with our audience.
Wow, lots of writing tips. Yeah, I think obviously you need to write about something that you're passionate about, something that stirs your own emotions, because writing really is about making an emotional connection with your audience and moving them emotionally from one state to another. You can't do that unless you're experiencing that emotion and that passion within yourself. So feel passionate about what you write. That's the first step. And the rest of it is really craft. There's some learning curves to be involved in the craft of writing. You can get that through instructors, through writing conferences and things of that sort. But you never will really go wrong if you have a passionate feel and a grasp for your subject. And think about the audience that you're addressing, obviously, because you're always not you're gonna have probably an inner core audience that really is going to get what you are talking about. And then it's kind of like layers of an onion. It works its way out. But you start with that inner core audience. So find your passion, recognize who, is most likely to share that with you, and then take a stab at it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And building off of what you said about the passion and the emotion, when I was writing my books, I would carry a little notebook around with me. I carried it everywhere with me. And when something would trigger a memory that was very emotional or passionate, rather than suppressing it, I would immediately sit down wherever I was and I would write it out. I would make sure that emotion was in there, the smells, everything, what triggered it, what happened, because in a few minutes, that's gone. And you may have lost it again for a very long time, maybe forever. And that's the sort of thing that makes your book a page turner. Because whoever is reading it's going to go, she's right. I felt that way too.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is that, my book, Quantum Spirituality, again, it's really kind of a roadmap to having experiences with higher consciousness. And in all honesty, I almost channeled my books. So getting in touch with your higher self, the part of you that can attract information from higher dimensions will help you in everything you do in life, especially writing. I mean, it's what enabled me to, really write so many award-winning books and, have a successful business career is the, my use of that consciousness. So, of course, you can read a book like mine, you can read other books, but the point is consciousness plays a role in everything, and particularly writing, which is an artistic endeavor. We draw on that inner consciousness for some of our best ideas, for some of our best writing.
And we paint with our words. I want to thank our audience for being with us tonight. And I really want to thank you, Peter Canova, for spending this time with us and sharing all your thoughts. You've been listening to Dreaming Healing on Dreamvisions 7 Radio Network. And I hope you'll tune in again, because the guests that I have on this show really have depth. And they're amazing to listen to. If you've got any questions or any dreams, please feel free to email me, Katkan, KATKAN @comcast.net. And I believe you can reach Peter on his website. Is that correct?
Yes, it's petercanova.com, PeterCanova.com. The website has a lot of information. It's a portal to all my, different works, but it's got a lot of information of general interest to people.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Remember, everybody dreams, but some dreams save lives. Good night, everybody.